Welcome to day one of the alignment assignment. I am so excited, ecstatic, hopeful, grateful to be in this energy, in this space, and for you to be here with me. The work that we're about to embark on is going to be magical if you commit, if you really go all in, if you really take this seriously. And so I'm going to dive right in today with what I really feel is, going to be the crux of this program. And it's going to be a little lighter today, so to speak, but we're really going to go deep. We're really going to have to be honest with ourselves about what is going on in our lives, what is going on in our business, what's going on in our hearts, what's going on in our heads. And throughout the next 10 days of lessons, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. So today we're going to kind of do a more general overview. And this is really, we're tapping into our values and our authenticity. So for me, what I really believe authenticity is not just the courage to say what you want to say and do what you want to do and live life on your own terms, although that could be part of it. But for me, the reality is authenticity means that you're living in alignment with your values, the things that are really important to you, the things that are important to your family, the things that are important to your legacy, the things that are important to your business. And when any one of those things are out of alignment, I think, there's two types of people, right? There's the type of person that will allow one thing to really, interject into other areas of their life. There's people who are the opposite and who can really compartmentalize their feelings and what's going on in different areas of their life. Honestly, I don't know which one is better, and I don't know if either of them are right or either of them are wrong. But I do want you to kind of recognize or do a gut check on yourself, like how am I? Like, am I somebody who, if I'm having, a bad day or a fight with my husband, am I able to just like shut that down and get to work and not let it bother me? Or does that sink into all areas of my life? Does that sink into how I treat my children that day? Does that sink into what I eat? So I think it's just really important, as we go through this program, is to just really be very aware and very honest of how you operate. There is no right or wrong. We're all human. We're all amazing. And it really just is about those check-ins with yourself, right? Because nothing's ever going to be perfect, ever, ever. And when we're talking about alignment in this program, it's so important, right, to be in alignment in all areas of your life, which is what we're going to kind of do today with the overview. But the most important thing is to be in full alignment with the work that you're doing, with the message that you're preaching. So I don't believe that we're all perfect. I do believe that we can have it all, but I don't believe that that's necessarily, something that everybody thinks either. So I do believe that it's okay to not be perfect in every area of your life, to not be 100% in every area of your life. I mean, you may not even have the bandwidth for that, and I'm going to get into that in just a second. So there is a worksheet that goes along with today's exercise. And in that worksheet, I basically have a list of pretty much all areas of your life. So I'll name a couple of them here, but they're all on your worksheet there. Everything from health, fitness, your body, to your relationships, to your business, to your finances, and everything in between, really. So what I want you to do with the first part of this worksheet is to, on a scale of 1 to 10, next to each one of these values, I want you to just put the number of where you currently are, and then next to that, where you'd like to be. So for example, relationships. Maybe your relationship is okay, but it's not that great. So it might be at a 6 or a 7. But where you really like it to be is like at a 8 or a 9 or a 10. And so here's the thing, guys. I know that we might be tempted to like put a 10 of where I like to be on everything, right? Because I guess eventually we're all going to want to grow and evolve in all areas of our lives. But if we're constantly striving for perfection, it's going to take a toll on us, and it's going to feel very hard, and it's going to feel very far away. So what I want you to do when you're doing this exercise is just think 30 to 60 days out, and then you can redo the exercise every 30 to 60 days. Check in, where are you at, where you'd like to be. And so the reason I want you to do this, and the reason why I think it's not fair to assume or to believe that you have to be at a 10 in every area, is because there's certain things that are more important to you than other things, right? And the same thing for other people. There's values that you feel way strong about that other people couldn't care less about. There may be just times in your life where it's like certain things matter more right now than others. So I was just explaining this earlier to a friend about how I'm in a growth phase in my business. So there's like a time to lean back. There's a time for growth. There's a time for hustle. I feel like there's just a time for everything. So in that growth phase, like I know that the business and the finances are super important in that place. So maybe things like my hobbies or my social life is, not going to be a 10 right now because of where I'm at and the things that I'm super focused on. So that's the first part, is really going through all of the different areas, recognizing and acknowledging where you are on a scale of 1 to 10, and then where you'd like to be in the next 30 to 60 days with each one of those categories. What this is also going to do, it's going to give you an overview of, oh yeah, these things are super important to me and these things are not. And you can choose to explore that, or you can choose to just say, I guess this thing really isn't that important to me. So like one of the things I have on there is like hobbies. And I was thinking about that and I'm like, yeah, I don't really have any hobbies, but I don't really want any. But then as I thought further, there is a part of me that is an artist and a creator. And I'm like, oh, I would really love to get back to center with that, right? So, this is really just going to help you discover some of the things that maybe you've been lacking in that will actually help you get into more alignment. So for me, when I think about creating art and giving some time to that each week, I feel like in those moments, I'm not really thinking about much of anything. So I'm able to do a little bit of a release. I'm able to let go a little bit. I'm able to surrender instead of feeling like hustle, hustle, hustle. I got to do all this work. So I feel like, by me exploring that and taking the time to make that a priority, it's actually going to help with my alignment in all other areas of my life. So that's the first part of the worksheet. And then, I really just want to go over some journaling questions, and these you can also find on your worksheet. So reflection questions, really, as we dive into this deep, deep work, start to be really, really honest with ourselves. I want to kind of, again, do it more of a like general overview assessment of what's going on. So the first thing I want you to think about is, where in your life right now do you feel out of alignment or out of integrity? And the first thing I want to say also is that you're not going to have to share this with anyone unless you want to. Because I know that there are some things in our lives that feel difficult, that feel shameful, that we regret, that we don't feel good about. So I would rather you be honest than for you to come up with some fake answer that would be okay for you to share. So you do not have to share this unless you want to. You do not have to share this unless you want to use it as a release or help someone else by you sharing it. If you feel like, by getting these things off my chest, this is going to be really helpful for me. So number one is, where do you feel out of alignment or out of integrity as your life stands right now, in this moment, today, as you're listening to this audio? What are some things that you, quote unquote, wish people didn't know about you? Now, we all have our own demons. We all have maybe skeletons in the closet. We all have our own things that we would rather keep private. But I want you to really think about, if the values that you had, if the habits that you had, if the things that you did were on display, where would you be hiding? Where would there be some shame and guilt? Again, this is one of those things that you will never have to share if you don't want to, but it's about an awareness and an acknowledgement and saying, you know what? this is something that because I've been pushing it down, or because I've been hiding it, or because I've been having so much shame around it, that it is causing me inner turmoil. It is causing me to be in limbo. It is causing me not to be in alignment with my higher self. I've got to recognize this. I've got to release this. I've got to do forgiveness work. I've got to do something around this thing. So what are some things, or maybe it's just one thing, that you wish people didn't know about you, but if it were on display and the whole world was watching, like that's the thing that you would just have so much shame and guilt around? Get in touch with that thing. Be honest with yourself. Next, I want you to think about, where in your life do you feel like you're being inauthentic or faking it? So this is a little bit different than the one before, because this is really more about like pretending, right? Acting a certain way so that you don't ruffle feathers. Pretending that certain things maybe don't matter when they really do, or pretending that things matter when they really don't. This is about like maybe some things you do to save face with your partner, with your clients, with a boss. Where are you being inauthentic to protect others? To, like I said, like not ruffle feathers, to not rock the boat. Where are you not standing up for yourself? Again, this is going to be really telling to just acknowledge what's going on here. Because once we acknowledge it, and it's like, oh shit, yeah, I've totally been shrinking myself for this relationship, or I've totally been faking it here with my clients because I don't feel good enough. So what are those things, and what are those moments and those instances where you're feeling inauthentic or faking it? And it's kind of like, cross my fingers, I hope nobody finds out kind of stuff. All right. Whew, I guess we are going pretty deep today. Sorry about that, guys. But this is really meant to crack you open. And by the time that we complete this, my hope is that you feel light, that you feel forgiven, that you feel free, and that you're able to really operate in that highest level version of yourself, because there is no more hiding, there is no more shame, and there is no more guilt. Okay, so the next question is, what's one thing that what's one thing that's really important to you that you have been putting off? And how can you take just one step towards pushing that back up on the scale? So I want you to think about maybe something that you've been putting off, that you're like, oh my gosh, this is so important, but I've got other things to do. So you've been putting it down. Maybe it's having family time with your kids or your husband. Maybe it's date nights. Maybe it's getting to the gym and starting to take care of yourself. And it's something that you've just been putting off and putting off and putting off. But it's also something that is literally on your mind every single day, right? Because here's where we get into misalignment. Here's where we get into limbo. Here's where we get into that tug of war. It's because I know I want this thing. I know this thing is so important to me, and this thing is on my mind. But other things are more important. But I'm going to make another excuse for this. Being in any kind of limbo or tug of war with yourself, with your mind, with your heart, with your soul is out of alignment. It's just out of alignment. So what is that thing that you've been putting off? And how can you just take one step towards pushing that back, or pushing that up on the scale, I should say. So, here is, I just want to note that not everything is going to be done quickly and easily. This work takes work. This work takes time. This work takes patience. This work takes consistency. That's why I'm asking you to only take one step towards that thing. Don't try to think that you're going to be superwoman and everything's going to be perfect and everything's going to be great and you're just going to do a complete 180 and it's just going to be like that. Because it's not. It won't be. How could it be? If it was that easy, you'd already be doing it. Let's just be honest. So for me, when I thought about this particular question for myself, this is a really great example. It was working out. So I kept putting working out on my calendar. I kept putting working out, I'm going to do this in my schedules. And I kept just ignoring it. I kept pushing it off. And so instead of going from literally not being in the gym for months to working out every day, my first step was I'm either going to go to the gym or work out for 30 minutes or walk 10,000 steps a day. So I knew that even if I couldn't get to the gym, or even if I talked myself out of going to the gym, I would at least get my 10,000 steps in. That's just one little thing that I could do. And once I start moving my body more, once I start getting into that habit, it's going to make me want to go to the gym. It's going to make me want to work out more. So I know like this is just a little thing that I have to do to get over this hump. And it's something that's way doable, right? So one little step. Each step, each action that you take is going to compound on the next. So what's one little step that you can do today for that thing that is super important to you, that you know if you could just get into alignment with it, a lot of things would change. Now I want you to think about everything that we've talked about so far. Why are you committed to making these changes? Get, again, really honest, really real with yourself. Why are you committed to these things? What is it that you want? Why do you want these things? Because we also have to be in alignment with our vision, right? And obviously we're going to talk about this later in the program, but we have to know why. Like if we're just doing it to doing it, or doing it to do it, it's not going to last. The consistency isn't going to be there. So why are you committed to making these changes for yourself? I also want you to journal out kind of like a story or a vision, I guess you could say, about what possibilities you see for yourself when it comes to getting back on track and in alignment with all of the things that are important to you. So essentially what I want you to do is just to think about like if all of these things were no longer hanging over my head, if I wasn't carrying all these things on my shoulders, if I was able to release all shame, fear, and guilt, if I was able to be 100% completely authentic, if I was able to be 100% in alignment with my values, what would my life look like? What possibilities would there be for me? Really think about that. Go big here. Be honest. Because somewhere hidden in there is a reason why you haven't done it yet. Right? There may be some fear. There may be some, getting out of the comfort zone feels scary. It feels uncertain. So dig into this a little bit. And then finally, what I want you to do for today and for the remainder of the program is to write out your intentions for the Alignment Assignment program and the vision that you have for yourself at the end of these 30 days. Intention is so powerful. And I want you to step into this with a powerful intention because I truly believe in this work. I truly believe that over the next 2 weeks, we are going to experience massive shifts, massive changes if you allow yourself to. If you really hold steady on the intentions that you created for yourself for this program. There's just like no possible way that magic can't happen when you commit to go all in, when you have clear intentions. And I love this because over the next 2 weeks also, we're going to get so much clarity. We're going to get you back on track. When I first was thinking about the alignment assignment, like the first thing that came up to me was a chiropractor, right? So I went to a chiropractor for a year after my accident, and I would always go in, and I would go, 2-3 times a week, and I would have to get my adjustment, and he would put me back together, and I mean, if I didn't go for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I'd be so out of whack. Like it was like crazy that I had to like snap myself back. So let's get back in whack. Let's get back into alignment. Let's get straight with our energy. Let's get connected with who we really want to be. And I will see you guys next time for day 2 of the Alignment Assignment.